What I'm going to tie for you today is a brown chironomid. We're going to use a black rib and a very sparse gill. I'm using a number 12. It's a 1X hook and a black bead. First thing, and the other thing I want to tell you is I'm going to use brown thread for the entire chironomid. Now, the chironomids we've been pumping in September have all had a very sparse rib, or gill, pardon me, very sparse gill. I'm using a white wool, and I'm going to take one strand and split it. Like so. Stack a little of the thread in front of the eye, and that way the bead won't push the wool down on the eye, so it'll be easier to tie. Tie that off. Bring your bead up. Then you tie your thread back on behind the bead like so. At this point I stack some thread right behind the bead to keep it in place. Like so. Now you're going to see that this you can see how sparse it is. Okay. At this point I run my thread to the rear of the shank and I tie on a red holographic material. This is for the butt. Now I'm going to wrap the butt I won't make it too long, but I like to put that on the bend of the hook. Like so. Once I secure that in, I'm going to trim the excess off. I'm going to run my thread up to the eye or the back of the bead, stack it a little bit to give it some shape. I'm going to use a black rib, just small black. Tie that in. Right back to the butt. Now, what I do here is I'm using, it's a brown, it's a stone brown scudback, 1/8. What I want to do with that is go over my brown thread and it'll darken it up. You'll see. I take a piece of it and I'm going to sharpen the end. Like so. And that prevents it from being bulky. Tie that in. Now, bring your thread back up, but make sure and cover everything with your thread. Give it a little more shape. There you go. Tie it off. Now, by pulling on the scud back, you can wind that around the shank. The more you pull, the more transparent it becomes. Once you get it secured, you can trim that off. Tie it off again. I find that this brown chironomid works well fished very deep because it's in the process of turning from red to brown. Now I'm going to take my rib wire and I'm going to reverse wind that. That way I can control the spacing of the spiral better. That's why I reverse it. Secure that down. Now, I'll just propeller that off. Build yourself a thorax. Now, at this stage, you can tie it off and use it the way it is. But what I like to do, put a wing case on there. Small piece of the brown scud back, and I generally put the wing case on after I've coated my finished product with Loctite. But I'll show you how I put that wing case on. I sharpen the end. Place it where you want it. I put generally 3 or 4 wraps on it, because when you put the Loctite on there, it's going to hold it in nice and tight. Once I tie it in like that, I take a razor blade, careful not to cut your thread. I hold it on there and rotate it. Like so. Now you have a wing case on there. Sometimes I fish it with it, and sometimes I fish without the wing case. But that is the finished product. You fish that nice and deep and enjoy it.